Her senses blacken themselves and Gavin's smell, touch, taste, and glorious
The world again. Oh, you're so beautiful. I just can't hold it in. I think we started something. I hope it never ends.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to start doing videos again because I've been lacking on it tremendously. So I wanted to come on here and do something really fun and funny and sexy for today. I know this is really random and I don't think I've ever seen anybody do this, but then again, I haven't really looked. I'm going to be reading you something. I'm really big on books, and one of my favorite things to read is romance novels. Number one reason, I don't have a man in my life anymore. Number two, I don't have a man in my life anymore. Number three, I'm single. Number four, I need some type of fire, some type of romance. And number five, I'm single. I was going to read part of what I'm already reading right now, but I thought, you know what? Maybe I should go back to the beginning of like the first books that I read that kind of got me hooked on romance novels and share that with you. So maybe you like it and maybe you want to go back and read what I read. So that's what I'm going to do for you today. The first book is called Collide. Yes! By Gail McHugh. And yes, just a disclosure. Number one, I have tattoos. A lot of y'all do not know that I have tattoos. If you are in the acting industry like I am, or modeling industry, and you see me and you think,
oh, she's pretty, I like her and I want her for a job, but dang, she has tattoos.
I can cover them all up 100%. You will not be able to see them. Don't let my tattoos deter you from seeing who I really am. That's not a part of who I am anymore. I usually don't ever show my tattoos, so just don't judge me for them. Oh yeah, the disclosure. This is an adult romance erotica novel. Does it say erotica? This one does not say erotica, but it erotica. I am going to be reading you the dirtiest parts of these books. This is not a book review where I'm going to be sharing all my thoughts on the book. I will give you a little detail. Yes, this is a good book. It's a part of a 2-book series. I want to say I've read both. It is a really, really great book. If you're 18 or under, exit out of this video. Do not go forward. Press pause and press the like button and press subscribe, but exit out and go to another video because this is dirty. This is real dirty. I don't know if you 18 or under. I mean, if you 18, you good, but if you 17 or under, you need to like exit out now. So yeah. Her stomach knotted over knowing what she was about to confess, but more so because of how much she was about to confess. You want to hear me say it? She hissed. Oh, he felt her now. With blatant intention, he did one thing he knew he could get her riled up. He slowly dragged his bottom lip between his teeth as his eyes bore right through her. Yes, I want to hear you say it. She said, fine, I want to just like you want to Gavin. She blurted out in a hard whisper. I've since the first moment I laid my eyes on you. I've dreamt of you. I feel you when you're not with me. I've even with a clear picture of you in my thoughts. Are you happy now? His expression seized with a mix of shock, anger, and hurt from her accusation. No, I'm not happy. You think this is about me wanting to At that, she laughed again. Oh, give me a break. What else would it be about? I know I'm naive when it comes to certain things, but I'm not a dumbass, Gavin. Something in her eyes and the set of her body filled him with heat. The edge of vulnerability in her voice sliced at his chest, and hell, it tore him apart too. But combined with her explosion of defiance and anger, it made the need for her eat into him like a painful disease. As Gavin kissed her, he tasted the cherry sweetness of her lips, and he drank it in as if it was the finest of red wines. Her hands moved up his arms to the back of his neck, leaving a trail of fire against his skin. A thick shiver of pleasure rebounded around him, racing through his blood from his fingers twining in his hair. A groan rumbled in his throat at the feel of her soft breasts against his chest. The scent of her skin. Okay, this is too PG. Let's see. When he slipped his hand under the hem of her dress and caressed her hip, Emily's heart nearly stopped. Goosebumps popped over her arms as she wrapped her leg around his waist. His hand cradled the back of her head and the other holding tight to her thigh. Waves of heat cascaded over her trembling body. Each touch... I can't talk. Each touch was a destructive whisper against her skin. The languid sweeping of his tongue trailed back to her mouth. I don't know why I just started sucking her lower lip. He allowed her moans of pleasure as he held her closer. Her senses blackened themselves in Gavin's smell, touch, taste, and glorious groans. Why am I talking like that? Okay, go back. Cat, go back. I think she just told him to leave. Essentially, this is totally book porn. But it's romance novels. There's nothing wrong with it. And no, I don't get off to it. People are so perverted. Here we go. His lips tingled in anticipation as he gazed at Emily's plump lips. He tried, God knows he tried, but he couldn't keep his hands off her. He found them gliding slowly down her waist, lingering as he hooked his thumbs at the waistband of her skirt. He pulled her closer, revealing the way her sweat felt against his skin. It was Emily's turn to drag her lip through her teeth as her eyes bore into his with pure, unadulterated lust. The pulsing music in his heart arousal pressed against her stomach, fueled her further. She didn't know if she heard it, but a soft moan wisped past her lips. She turned around, arched her back. Turned around, arched her back against his chest, and tilted her head up. Her head barely reached her shoulder. Oh, they're just dancing? They gotta go home soon. The connection caught and ricocheted through them, never breaking his gaze. Gavin bent his head and crushed his mouth to hers again, her lips tasting better than he remembered. His hands roamed over her soft skin and he studied every inch, reading her flesh like a novel written in Braille. Everything about her was pure deliciousness. He must be talking about me. He kissed her as though the brief time they had been apart had starved him of all basic human necessities. Emily released a soft whimper. Again? She whimpers a lot. Emily released a soft whimper as his tongue laved over her ear, down her neck, and across the curve of her collarbone. That whimper, that lusty little whimper. Oh, you little whimper. It sent Gavin's mind into overdrive. They fell back onto the bed. Dylan's familiar face vaguely surfaced in Emily's mind, along with guilt over what she was about to do. But the thought of him swiftly faded when Gavin pulled down the scalloped edge of her waist-light bra. Her waist-light bra? Bro, I'm telling you, people don't understand. When I say I have dyslexia, I ain't playing. Did you hear me? Let me just replay that real quick. Waist-light bra. Waist-light bra. Yeah. White laced bra. Pushing his knee between her legs, he leaned down and licked the soft swell of her breast, circling his lips around one taut peak. Softly. Emily flushed and grew hot as she pressed against his mouth, her body writhing with burning pleasure under his attack. But it's not that kind of attack. Under his attack, I can't even do it. His tongue skillfully made the burning heat in her stomach unfurl with each slow, glorious circle, and gentle stroke unraveled her by the second. Gavin pulled her skirt above her waist, his kiss growing frantic as his hands skimmed the smooth flesh between. Emily moaned as he yanked her panties down. Her breath caught again as his smoldering blue eyes watched her reaction when he slid 2 fingers and then a third. Whoa! Whoa! Her back arched against the sensation. Her eyes never left as she gasped. She brought her arms up, threading her fingers through his hair and pulled him back down to her lips. As the kiss grew deeper, Gavin's response was a long, drawn-out groan. His mouth was hot and hungry over hers. Until he strained for more. Whoa. His body pulsed with pleasure as her nails bit into her shoulders, clawing and digging as she circled her hips around his hand. He withdrew his fingers from in an attempt to stop, but as soon as he did, she reached for his wrist and pulled his dampened fingers. The simple act was so deliciously hot, he felt his blood rush through his body even faster. Once again, his lips slammed into hers, stifling her moans while he kissed her harder, groaning when her legs lifted to frame his waist. When Emily released her hold on his hair and ran her fingers down his stomach to unbutton his pants, he knew he had to stop again. Don't get me wrong, like, not all romance novels are full of like erotica. Sometimes they involve sex, but that's just a part of relationships. I don't feel like the topic of sex is a big deal. Reading this book, it doesn't bother me because sex is a natural thing that humans do. It's not a weird thing to talk about, in my opinion. I think it's quite funny, actually, and cute, and like, oh yeah, I've experienced that. I don't know if this is YouTube appropriate. I need to feel you right now, Gavin, please.
I have to get it calmed down.
He groaned against her mouth. I'm on the pill, she breathed. Oh, that's a trap. That's a trap. Whoa, that was all he needed to hear before he hoisted her higher, only to pull her down on top of him as he pushed up beside her hot. She let out a forceful breath as she wrapped her arms around his neck. She arched her back and he again, completely burying himself. Tongue sweeping in and out, Gavin groaned while she tightened her legs around his waist, her hands knotting in his hair. Although her back chafed against the wall with each thrust, the pleasurable burning of his overrode any pain. Gavin pulled back and they gazed into each other's eyes, drinking up the emotions in the air. Their chests rose and fell together with every shallow breath they took. As ripples of pleasure shook through Emily's body, Gavin slammed his mouth over hers, continuing exploration of her tongue as he carried her into his bedroom. A small groan escaped her lips when he placed her on her feet. Emily stood before him, her body trembling from head to toe as she tried to catch her breath. Without hesitation, he rid himself of his boxer briefs and socks, and his predatory gaze hot and focused on her quivering lips. Emily's eyes traveled from his beautiful face and moved lower to take in the delicious sight of his taut abdomen. Do I have a taut abdomen? It was magnificently beautiful. His tattoo snaked itself down his left rib cage, curving over his hips before dipping lower. He said, "There's not a man on this earth who doesn't wish he was me right now." Cupping her face like a wild animal stalking his prey, he slowly moved around her, ghosting his lips over her shoulder as he slid his tongue up her neck. Your mind and your body will never forget these things I'm about to do to you tonight. Every single inch of your body is going to feel me, he said. Whew. Damn. Forget about his teasing touch. His words alone had Emily feeling as though she were about to combust. Oh my God, she breathed. Yes, Gavin said with a cocky smile.
Yeah, girl. That's what I'm talking about.
He continued to circle and tantalize Emily's body with his soft kisses, ultimately stopping behind her. With his breath heated and warm, he kissed her ear. Lashes fluttering close. She felt pleasure streak through her body with each soft brush of his lips. Gavin slowly unzipped her velvet red dress and watched it slip to the ground and pull around her heels. "Step out," he whispered into her neck, unclipping the diamond pins holding up her hair. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders and tumbled over her breasts. Trying to breathe, she stepped away from her dress as a heightened level of sexual desire slipped over her skin. Still standing behind her, Gavin unhooked her strapless bra with one hand, while the other floated around to the front of her stomach. She froze. Burying his face in the curve of her neck, Gavin gently gripped the back of her thigh and drew her leg up onto the bed. A moan escaped Emily's lips as he slipped his fingers. I'm not gonna say where. Fiery pleasure shot through every nerve ending in her body. Lifting her arms up behind her, she dug her fingers into his hair, clawing and grasping as tight as she could. Cupping her chin, Gavin angled her face to the side just enough to crush his mouth over hers, groaning while his tongue flicked in and out of her mouth. A hot shiver rippled through Emily's stomach, tingling through her entire system. Boom! I'm stopping there. Oh my God, that was hot. Yeah, that's the sound of my heart every time I read these books. So let's just go over something really quick. There's a lot more to the story. I'm not gonna go over like all the details about the book, but I will read you what it says on the back. On the heels of her college graduation and the unexpected death of her mother, Emily Cooper moves to New York City to join her boyfriend for a fresh start. Dylan Parker has been sweet, thoughtful, and generous through Emily's loss, and she can't imagine her life without him, even as her inner voice tells her to go slow. Then she meets Gavin Blake, a rich and notorious playboy. Gavin is dangerously sexy and charming as hell. Their first encounter is brief, but it's enough to inflame Emily's senses. When their paths cross again through an unexpected mutual acquaintance, she tries to deny the connection she feels. But Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome won't let go so easily. As she discovers Gavin's pain-filled past and Dylan's true nature begins to surface, Emily knows she must take action or risk destroying everyone, including herself. But how can she choose when she can't trust her own heart? Like, how? But it is really good. I know I only read the sexy parts, and that's really just to like be funny and I don't know, get you interested in this book. Any book I order is always from thrift books, like thrift store, but thriftbooks.com. You can get used books. They're all fine quality. I don't care if it's like super slick and brand new, because after you read it, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'd rather buy a used book for $3 than a new book for $18. They come within like 3 days, so that's pretty amazing. So if you want books and you're interested in ordering books, thriftbooks.com is the way to go.
Just what you're waiting for.
What's it called? So don't let Goosebump. Oh, deja vu. Ew, oh my gosh, this is weird deja vu. Did I do this? Never understand deja vu. Coaxing them. Gavin is dangerous, sexy. I'm stuttering. Nah. Okay, I can't talk. Oh gosh, where's the sex?